no! The moon bled across the sky, painting Linda's frightened face red. She felt a strange, ancient power pulsing within her, a powerful, ancestral wolf force. But that wasn't all. A cold, hungry gaze watched her from the shadows. Jason, the immortal vampire, her beloved, was different. His eyes gleamed with an uncontrollable thirst, and it wasn't thirst for blood, or was it? Linda was in danger, trapped in a web of secrets and a battle between worlds, and Jason's heart, torn between darkness and love, could be the key to her survival, or her ruin. Who was behind this strange transformation in Jason? The forest whispered secrets to the night, its twisted branches like skeletal arms pointing to the scarlet moon. Linda, her long black hair cascading over her shoulder, ran aimlessly, her heart pounding like a war drum. The air was heavy, charged with a metallic scent that filled her nostrils and sent shivers down her spine. It wasn't the smell of blood, not exactly. It was something more primal, wild, like the scent of an impending storm. The image of Jason, her beloved vampire, haunted her. He was different, strangely cold, distant. His eyes, once filled with a love that ignited her soul, now shone with a disturbing gleam, a ravenous hunger that petrified her. The memory of his lips on her skin, of his passionate whispers, now mingled with a piercing fear. Had Jason, the man who loved her, been lost forever to the darkness? A howl cut through the silence of the night, a deep, resonant howl that echoed through the trees, making the leaves tremble. It was the call of the wild, the cry of her ancestors, the powerful wolves that ran in her veins. Linda felt the ancient power, dormant within her, pulsing with renewed strength. She felt different, stronger, more connected to the earth, to the forest, to her ancestors. The power was awakening, impetuous, ready to break free. But the threat didn't come only from distant howls. Something moved in the shadows, something that lurked, that watched her every step. Linda could feel the sinister presence, an icy chill that froze her bones. With every step she took, she felt the urgency grow, the need to escape that deadly trap. With every leaf that crunched under her feet, the fear increased. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, a tall and imposing man, his face covered by a grotesque wooden mask. His eyes, however, shone from beneath the mask, revealing an implacable cruelty. He was one of the dark sorcerers, mortal enemies of both wolves and vampires who sought world domination, manipulating both sides of the war with their cunning. This one, in particular, harbored a visceral hatred for Linda and her ancestors, for it was the wolves who always prevented the ascendancy of his malevolent plans. "You cannot escape, Indian woman," hissed the sorcerer's raspy voice, laced with venom. "Your power is the key to the victory of the shadows." "And I will have it!" Linda grabbed a branch, feeling the rough wood beneath her hand. The ancestral power propelled her, giving her courage and strength. Fear transformed into determination. She would not be captured. She would not allow this sorcerer and his dark plans to take control of her power, especially not without Jason. Another howl cut through the air, this time closer, more menacing. It was as if the wolves were protecting her, guiding her steps through the darkness. Linda followed the call instinctively, feeling an invisible force guiding her away from the sorcerer. But she knew the fight was only beginning, a battle between good and evil, between light and shadows, between love and darkness. And at the center of this war was Jason, her beloved vampire, entangled in a web of lies and secrets. The image of Jason tormented her. What had the sorcerer done to him? Had the dark power corrupted his heart, forever extinguishing the glow of his love? Linda felt a tightness in her chest, a mixture of fear, anguish, and hope. The only certainty she had was the power pulsing within her, the power of the wolves, the power of her ancestors, the power that propelled her to move forward, to fight for Jason, to fight for her love, to fight for her survival in the midst of that infernal night. The moon bled, and the battle was only just beginning. The forest seemed to breathe deeply, exhaling the cold, damp air that penetrated Linda's bones. She ran, guided by instinct, by the howls that echoed closer and closer, an ancestral call, an echo of the wolves that slept in her blood. The sorcerer's mask, the image of his implacable cruelty, still haunted her, but fear was giving way to a primal fury, a rage that burned like embers within her. It was the rage of a warrior, of a descendant of a lineage of powerful wolves, a rage that made her stronger with every second. The branches intertwined before her, like arms trying to stop her, but Linda deflected them with surprising agility, as if she had been born in the forest, as if nature itself guided her. She felt the power of the wolves growing within her, an uncontrollable force, an energy that made her feel part of the forest itself, a wild and untamable spirit. Suddenly, she stumbled, falling over tangled roots. The sharp pain in her knee was momentary, eclipsed by the sight of Jason, unconscious in a clearing. He was different, paler than usual, his skin cold as marble. His slender body was surrounded by strange symbols, drawn on the ground in charcoal. A sinister ritual, a magic circle that exuded an aura of death. Linda felt her blood run cold. The sorcerer had captured him. A wave of despair washed over her, suffocating her like a spiderweb. She had found Jason, but he was in mortal danger. And the worst was seeing that empty, extinguished look on his face. Where was the passionate Jason, the vampire who loved her with untamed fervor? Had the sorcerer managed to steal his soul, his life force, his ability to love? Before despair could paralyze her, Linda felt the ancestral power flooding her again, the strength of the wolves pulsing in her muscles, in her bones. She rose with surprising speed, feeling renewed, full of energy, ready to fight. The pain in her knee was a distant memory. She would have to face that sorcerer, save Jason, even if it meant risking her own life. With fierce determination, she approached Jason, ready to break the magic circle, to free him from the spell. But then, a new threat emerged. A group of vampires, servants of Jason's master, emerged from the shadows. They were loyal, merciless servants, their eyes gleaming with bloodlust. They seemed to be waiting for Linda, as if they knew she would interfere. The vampires advanced, their sharp teeth gleaming in the light of the bloody moon, ready to attack her. Linda, however, did not retreat. The power of the wolves protected her, guided her, giving her strength and agility. She faced them with surprising courage, using the forest itself as a shield, slipping between the trees, dodging attacks, using the branches as weapons. The fight was fierce, implacable, each blow charged with fury and determination. Linda fought for her love, for her life, for her freedom, for the survival of her kind and Jason's. In one instant, she heard the roar of a phantom wolf. In another, she felt the cold breath of a vampire on her neck. But Linda was not a mere mortal. She was a warrior, daughter of the forest, descendant of a lineage of powerful warriors. And as she fought, she felt she was connecting with her ancestors, learning their ancient techniques, mastering their still raw and uncontrollable powers. It was as if her ancestors were fighting alongside her, as if a greater force was on her side. And amidst so much darkness, a spark of hope shone, as bright as the bloody moon in the sky. The hope of a love that could conquer even death, the love of Linda and Jason in the midst of a bloody battle. The moon bled across the sky, bathing the forest in a funereal red. Linda, her black hair tangled, ran blindly, her breath ragged, her heart a frantic hammer against her ribs. The metallic scent of blood, mixed with a wild and primal odor, pursued her, suffocating her. The image of Jason, her beloved vampire, haunted her, his eyes burning with a strange hunger, which was not just thirst for blood, but something far worse, something that petrified her with terror. Had the love that united them turned to ashes under the weight of the curse? A howl cut through the silence of the night, a deep and anguishing howl that echoed through the dark forest. It was the call of the wolves, the voice of her ancestors, an ancestral force that pulsed in her veins, the force that propelled her, that made her stronger, wilder. The ancestral power awakened within her, a whirlwind of energy that connected her to the earth, to the forest, to the ancient roots of her lineage. But the threat was imminent. A figure emerged from the shadows, a dark sorcerer, his face covered by a grotesque wooden mask, his eyes gleaming with implacable cruelty. He was the embodiment of darkness, the personification of the evil that threatened to destroy everything Linda loved. "You cannot escape, Indian woman," hissed the sorcerer, his voice a cold venom that froze her soul. "Your power is the key, and I will have it." Linda, feeling the ancestral force overflowing, grabbed a branch with force. Fear turned into determination, into primal fury. She would not surrender. She would not allow that malevolent being to steal her power, her future, And above all, Jason. Another howl cut through the air, closer, more menacing, the call of her ancestors, the protection of the forest. Linda followed the call, running without stopping, fleeing from the sorcerer, but knowing that the real battle was only just beginning. Then she saw him. Jason, unconscious in a clearing, his body pale as snow, surrounded by sinister symbols drawn in charcoal on the ground. A magic circle, a deadly trap. The sorcerer had imprisoned him, had bewitched him. Where was the passionate gaze, the love that burned in his eyes? Jason was different, lost in the clutches of darkness. Linda felt her blood freeze in her veins, a knot of despair in her throat. It was as if a part of her was also trapped there, inside that circle, along with her beloved. But despair was momentary. The ancestral force, the strength of the wolves, flooded her again, bathing her in courage and power. She stood up, the pain in her knee forgotten, her heart pulsing with fierce determination. She had to save him. She had to break the spell, free Jason from the clutches of darkness. She approached, ready to break the magic circle, ready to face the sorcerer, when a new threat emerged from the shadows. A group of vampires, loyal servants of Jason's master, their eyes gleaming with uncontrollable thirst. They surrounded her, ready to attack. Linda was alone, cornered, surrounded by darkness. But she was not afraid. She felt the ancestral force enveloping her, protecting her, guiding her. The fight was wild, implacable. Linda, with the agility of a feline, used the forest as a shield, dodging attacks, striking with the force of a wolf, using the branches as weapons. It was a deadly dance between light and shadows, a battle for survival, for love. She fought for Jason, for his soul, for his heart, even against an army of vampires. With each howl, with each cry, she felt the presence of her ancestors, feeling the strength of 1,000 generations giving her power. With each blow she struck, with each wound she received, she felt that the ancestral force became one with her, becoming part of her, an extension of her tireless determination. The fight reached its climax when Linda, with a war cry, managed to break the magic circle, freeing Jason from the spell. He awoke, his eyes still cloudy, confusion etched on his face, but a thread of recognition emerged when he saw Linda, the love that united them, still alive and fighting for both of them. It was as if a ray of hope had broken through the darkness, a light that indicated the possibility of a future together. But the sorcerer was not defeated. His mask cracked, his eyes gleaming with furious anger. The battle was far from over. The fight for love, for survival, for very existence, was only just beginning. The moon bled, and the fate of Linda and Jason was in their hands, in their hearts. The moon bled, painting the final scene of the battle red. Linda, exhausted but victorious, managed to break the magic circle that imprisoned Jason. He awoke, confused, but his eyes met hers, and a sigh of relief escaped his pale lips. The love that united them seemed to be stronger than the darkness that surrounded them. For a moment, victory seemed certain. They were together, free from the sorcerer's spell. But this feeling of relief was short-lived. The sorcerer, defeated but far from destroyed, rose, his cracked wooden mask revealing a cruel and malevolent smile, a smile that promised revenge. And then he did something unexpected. He did not attack Linda or Jason. He looked to the sky, at the bloody moon, and with a slow gesture, pointed to something behind them. An intense glow, a sinister and unknown energy, emerged on the horizon, approaching rapidly. It was a colossal, terrifying force that silenced the forest and froze the blood in Linda and Jason's veins. The sorcerer whispered, his voice laden with a malignant triumph. "You thought the battle was over? This is only the beginning of the end." The mysterious energy approached, casting a dark and menacing shadow over the two lovers, leaving doubt in the air. What force was this, so powerful and dark? What was to come? And would Linda and Jason's love be enough to survive it?